This podcast may contain views and opinions which are those of the hosts and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any local agency, organization, union, employee, or company, including the podcast.
Welcome back, Sawas.
Well, what's up, John?
How are you today?
I'm great.
Sawas is back, George. I'm happy to have him.
Yeah, it's nice.
He missed a recent podcast.
He's missed a couple podcasts.
Things happen. You got a family.
I got a family, Mark.
But Sawas aside, I think we have a star-studded guest. I'll call you that, Mark.
Nice.
Mark is back, a star-studded guest. And if you guys haven't checked out Mark's first episode, please do that. It's one of our favorites. Mm-hmm. I know we say that a bit. We do have some that we like better than others. I know you guys don't like the ones with George and myself all that much. Yeah, but when we have some star-studded guests like Mark, we definitely get the views, and I know you guys like to hear from him. We've had him on a couple calls, but thank you. Appreciate you coming on, Mark.
Nice.
How you been?
Nice. I've been fantastic. Yeah. We have had 2023 was probably one of the busiest years I've ever had in the 24 years that I've been working as a union official.
Really?
It was the busiest year, and it's just so exciting to be a Teamster right now that we have a lot of activity, organizing activity, bargaining the contracts, getting the big settlements that are out there.
Strikes.
There's been strikes. You name it, it's been going on, and it's going on at a much higher level, and people are very enthusiastic. Our general membership meetings, where I come from in Portland, the numbers are higher than they've been over the last several years, which is great. It's fantastic. People are feeling the energy that Sean O'Brien is putting out there. So I'm just really excited, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
And shout out to Sean O'Brien. And I mean, he definitely just, in my opinion, he's taken us in the right direction, and we're turning ourselves into a well-oiled machine.
There you go.
The communication that we need and getting coordinated. I think that's been a big thing that I've actually praised you on the show for before is the coordination here in the West. Right. We'll go through all your titles in a minute, but just a coordination here in the West, but across the country under Sean O'Brien, he's really kind of getting us ready for the fight, right? We're always in the fight, but we're getting
and his
ready.
Representatives, the folks that he's in command of there at the International Brotherhood of Teamsters throughout the country, no matter what the division, the warehouse division, the package division, the express division, you name the division, every division, he's holding everybody to a very high standard. And you know what? I don't hear any complaints because it's producing results. And when you produce results, that's what being a trade unionist is all about. And our members are excited about it, which is really cool. So thank you.
Definitely union public approval is up high right now. People are tired of corporate America, the bad working conditions, the stuff that we've fought for in the past coming back. I mean, we've talked about it a couple of times, child labor and, shitty working conditions and some of that stuff coming back. People are getting fed up with that, and we see a lot of action and the public approval.
The thing is, there are so many great things about being a Teamster. The boss doesn't have the final say. You can disagree with your boss. You don't disobey. Work is directed, file a grievance unless it's something really obscene and unsafe, right? But generally speaking, you can disagree. Where else can you do that? Where else can you have an honest disagreement with the boss without him being able to say, you know what, or she, you're fired.
Yeah.
You have representation. And you know what, the biggest thing, that's the number one thing. So we have companies, we have workers from companies that are coming to us, and sure, everything is great in terms of what they want. I shouldn't say great. What they want are improvements to their working conditions. They want to be represented. And I had a group here recently with our organizer in my home local where we met with the folks, and I was reviewing their health insurance plan. They only wanted to talk about favoritism for shifts, favoritism for preferred work, people with more seniority who have the skills and qualifications, not feather bedding. They actually have the skills. They got the qualifications. They know how to do it, and they can be efficient. And a boss is passing them up for some other reason. Maybe they're stuck on the night shift and the company's hiring new people on the day shift. Maybe because that person likes to talk up too much. Who knows what it is? So they're coming to us for the most basic fundamental rights. And then I looked at their health insurance at this meeting, and the employees, I was shocked. They had several $1,000s for them and their families on the deductible. And they weren't complaining because a lot of these people are calling us are young people. So they may not really truly be accessing their insurance yet.
We get a lot of that for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And then you start talking about that, and their eyes just are like, wow, you Teamsters have what? And we say, look, we're not promising you anything that we can achieve in collective bargaining. But what we will promise you, my organizer's name is Bobby Rispler in my local, we will fight for you.
We'll fight for you.
We will represent you to the fullest. And what you want in that contract, we will fight to achieve. We won't get everything, but we will try hard. And it's interesting times.
It is. Crazy times. Well, for those of you that out there in YouTube and Spotify world that don't know Mark Davison and haven't checked out the first episode with Mark, let's kind of go through your titles here. I know fun because you got a whole list of them.
Right.
But president of Local 162 out in Portland, Oregon, Joint Council 37 president, Western Region vice president. What else? What do we got here? Director of the West Package Division, right? And
I think you're good. I think you got a pretty decent list.
I'm missing one though, right?
You are, but we can move on.
Western Region.
You know the most important title to me? I'm going to tell you the most important title that I am is a Teamster.
Oh.
I started, and that's the most important thing to me, and because it stands for dignity and respect. And when I started in 1994 at UPS loading trucks, and I got very active in the union, became a steward very quickly, very soon, because I come from a trade union background and know what a shop steward is. And I got very active, and I rose through the ranks, business agent, bargaining contracts, enforcing contracts. And over time, as these positions I've had the support of the membership to achieve. Without the members' backing, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about this right now. And without the hard work to represent them, it's just the truth. We're a people organization. People don't like you, there's a problem, right? Not everybody, some people are going to have a problem. But I'm going to tell you what, I start with the favorite thing is being a Teamster. And I have to say, when you go through the titles, at the end, it's still the most important thing is being a Teamster. Because in all of the various positions that I do, I'm representing the members. I'm a Teamster taking care of Teamsters.
There you go.
You're a union being.
Union being. You were saying I said that in the first video, so I'm going to have to go back.
You guys
I'll
kind
put a
of
clip right here.
Yeah, well,
We have folks that are very spirited and speak their mind.
yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't hurt my feelings that they're speaking their mind. Okay? There's always something of value to come out of
You
everything.
got them some thick skin, I'll tell you that.
I try. I try. I'm a human being, okay? I'm a human being.
I get it.
A union being?
A union being?
Union being?
Union being,
Yeah,
okay. Exactly.
We'll put a clip in, but you guys kind of collaborated.
Nice.
Yeah,
You guys collaborated
You're
that.
a union being, Mark.
Union being.
Yeah.
We'll get the
Fantastic.
shirts made.
Nice.
Yeah, shirts are on
Nice.
their way.
What color are we going to get? Teamster
Union
blue.
being. There you go.
Teamster blue.
Union being. Yep.
Union
we,
being.
All
All
right.
right.
We made that together, Mark.
Okay.
So,
It's how it says. Taking claim to it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to give you all the credit.
yeah, I think you got enough
of
titles.
that's
You
fine.
don't need it.
Well, one of the big reasons why we wanted to film the show today, obviously, is to get into some pension talk. So I will say I missed one of your titles that it's kind of important to this subject, right? And it is Western Conference Pension Trustee, correct?
Correct. So one of the honors and privileges of being the Joint Council President, by virtue of that position, I also serve on the Western Conference of Teamsters Pension as a trustee, which is a fiduciary who oversees the plan, makes decisions on how to govern the plan, makes decisions on how to protect the plan so that we can keep all the promises to what we all start out to be at the very beginning, which is a Teamster.
Be a Teamster and to eventually retire,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
That's the goal. I think that's where everyone's trying to get. Not that it's the goal, but at the end of the day, That's what people want to be. They want to work, put in their time,
Right.
and then be able to retire comfortably. And you're overseeing a lot of that. Not overseeing, but you're part of that whole, what do you want to call it? Solution. You're part of that whole.
And part of the continuum in trade unionism is nurturing leaders. I was nurtured by my mentor, who just recently passed away. Fantastic human being, fantastic trade unionist. Another one that came from a trade union family. His name's Jack Selby. Just unbelievably an incredible person. And Jack, when he did the job, he said, "It's not a job." I said, "Well, I'm doing this job." And he says, "It's not a job." And he says, "It's a lifestyle." And he says, "And you're going to find out when he helped when he helped put in the good word with the old timers at the Union Hall to help push me forward as a young Teamster." And
baby Teamster.
I don't know if we want to say baby Teamster now that he
Well,
said that.
I just think that speaks to the fact that
It means you're a young Teamster.
Yeah,
that's all it means.
and the fact that how important it is for the seasoned members, seasoned Teamsters to grab the young guys,
Right.
and educate them, as long as they're willing to even listen, right?
Right.
And not beating them over the head. Right. It's kind of like I put it like this. If you're gonna talk to somebody about the Bible, you don't throw the whole Bible at them. You just kind of speak to them little by little, and then if they're receptive to it, then you go to the next thing.
I'll use the analogy of an ember, right?
Right.
Start a big fire with a little ember. And you baby that ember, and you give it some air and give it some fuel, and before you know it, you got a raging fire. You got a Mark Davison.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice. I'm very fortunate. I mean, I've had such a blessed life. I'm so very fortunate that I had a mentor to guide me, and now I'm the mentor to other Teamsters that have come into our hall, younger business agents.
I'd like to think that I'm under the Mark Davison mentor.
Okay, there you go. We have an honor. We have a duty. We have a duty to invest in the future because we're all going to be gone someday, and the continuum.
Yeah,
It's going to keep on
gotta
going.
keep going.
The calendar, the sun rising and the sun falling doesn't wait.
Nope.
It just keeps on going. So thank you very much. I'm very
let's,
privileged in
let's,
terms of the backing I've always had from my members. And I always tell my members, I got your back and thank you for having my back.
Thank you.
'Cause I'm a
Mark.
union being.
You are a union being.
Human being.
Let's get to that good news, though. So what we wanted to discuss and what we kind of hope that you could enlighten us a little bit on is the new accrual rate.
Correct.
Big exciting news for me, for all Teamsters in the Western Conference pension.
Correct.
So what does that mean, Mark? Why don't you explain that a little bit?
So the pension, how there's the pension formula that determines how much you earn per year into your pension, so that ultimately how much you're going to earn in total over all those years every month in a check that you get for the rest of your life. It's not like a 401k where when the market drops, your retirement
your 401k drops.
It's there for you. The promises are there. Promises have been made. Promises will be delivered for you, for me, for all of the 220+ thousand Teamsters, active Teamsters in the West that participate in our plan. And there's a formula, the contractual contribution that is negotiated by your union and paid in by your employer. They make the contributions. It varies, and it depends on what the market will bear with the employer. Some employers can afford $3 an hour. Some have the wherewithal to pay $7 an hour. Some, like some of our major massive employers, can pay $12 or $13 an hour.
Yeah.
And that amount of money per hour that you earn in your pension, in your basic rate, that doesn't include peer, the basic contribution they make, whether it's $3 an hour, $5 an hour, whatever it is, that is multiplied times your hours of compensation. Most contracts have 2,080 hours a year.
As a max.
Correct, as a max. And there's a variety of ways to get there. Okay, some contracts you can get there sooner, before the end of the year, but you still max out at 2,080. Some contracts, they have higher amounts. But when you come to that formula, so let's say you have an $8 an hour pension rate, and you multiply that times 2,080, and you actually had the compensation. I mean, you gotta go. You gotta go to work.
You gotta work the hours.
You gotta put in the hours.
Yeah.
And you max out, and you have your 2,080 for those folks that have that formula. Then you multiply that total dollar amount. So let's say it's $16,000 approximately, and you multiply that times the accrual rate.
Okay.
The accrual rate by trust policy over many, many years is 1.2%. So you take that amount times the 2,080 times the percentage, the accrual rate, to come to your benefit, okay, for what you've earned that year. And there's a monthly formula that comes out, and there's a total dollar amount, and then this is how much you earn for each year of service. It was at 1.6% because the trust has been so well managed, so well funded. You get a funding statement in the mail. The money's there to pay the benefits. That the trustees have to look at ways of, okay, under federal laws, what are we doing with this pile of money separate from that? And there's a lot of different benefits that are offered that a pension may or may not have to pay to provide separate from the normal pension. And so we've been really fortunate that we've added various benefits. A number of years ago, there was an increase to the disability benefit. That's a benefit that you receive, that you can receive. That's a percentage of your total amount if, say, you became totally disabled when you're 40 years old. So you started somewhere age 21, you have a catastrophic disability at age 40, and so what is that, 19 years in the plan, but you're not at your early retirement age to get your full pension. And there's a formula, and you have to qualify for Social Security. There's all kinds of stuff, and I'm just talking in general terms. All the details, you want to contact the trust administrator.
There you go.
And you really want to do that. The summary plan descriptions coming out, those come out every 5 years. You want to make sure that you review that, you review it, call your local if you have questions. But we do these different things. And so the investment performance was so good, and the funding was so good, but not to mention all the unions that are in their bargaining in the contracts that have the Western Conference of Teamsters pension, they're hammering the employers for additional contributions every year. So if you were at $3, maybe your union contract, the officers bargain, you're going to get an extra dime every year. Maybe you're at $10 and they bargain an extra 50 cents each year. Maybe you had some bumps because of, especially during COVID, we've seen contracts where folks are getting, there's been some contracts where people are getting 75 cents an hour in that first year, maybe as a upfront bump to the pension. The negotiators, including at Local 952, are going into these contracts, bargaining more contributions. The contributions continue to grow year over year. Investments have been very well. So there was the previous 3 years were at 1.6%. It was expiring December 31st of 2023.
23, yeah.
And returning January 1 to 1.2%. The trustees met on January 8th. We approved the 1.6% for 2024 and 2025.
Awesome.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Right.
So, I mean, just in layman's terms, let's kind of try to simplify it. What does that mean to the normal member? I mean, obviously, it's bigger, right? 1.2%, 1.6% is obviously better. So what does that mean?
It's approximately 33% higher accrual, because 1.2% increasing to 1.6%, get out a basic calculator, do the simple math, and it's about 33% bump. So 1.2 is awesome.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's a great accrual. It's just unbelievably.
And as you said, that was the historical accrual rate.
Correct.
So we're doing so good that they felt obligated or the necessity to bump it up to 1.6 for the next 2 years.
And protect our members. And through the process the pension has gone through with the trustees, the board of trustees, to make sure that we can also deliver on that promise. So we didn't make a decision that was hasty. We have actuaries, consultants, attorneys, plan professionals in every aspect of financial matters, pension matters, number crunchers. I'm not a number cruncher, right? I know how to bargain a contract and do numbers, right?
You're not an accountant.
But I'm not an accountant, correct.
I got you. So what exactly, I'm sure, some of our viewers have questions. What exactly does a trustee do? What do you guys do? Who are the trustees? Who makes up the board? How does that all work?
Okay, so there are 13 trustees for the union side, the labor. So 13 union officials from across the Western region, and there's a sprinkle. There's some from each joint council of the 5 joint councils in the Western region serving as a board of trustee, on the board of trustees, a total of 13. The employer side has a total of 13. And there's folks there from UPS. There's folks there from, as serving on the employer side, from Albertsons. There's folks there from Republic Services. They have a diverse board, and we have a diverse board made up of all of the portions, all of the regions, the sub-regions within the Western region.
So I guess what do you guys do in essence? I know we talked about it a little bit. Right. You have a fiduciary responsibility, right? What do those things mean? You guys are looking out for the pension, making sure that money's allocated correctly and all that?
The reports that we get on a regular basis, every dollar that's invested is being monitored by the investment professionals. They are providing us with these regular reports. We serve on the appeals committees. So maybe a member, it's a 5-year vesting requirement. You got to have 5 years of the contributions, and you got to meet and that's just a general statement I'm making. But you'll get somebody who maybe put in 3 years, and they're like, my parent was a long time 40-year Teamster. I think you should waive the 5 years. I want to be able to get even though I left employment and I only have 3. We get all types of appeals that we serve on appeals committees that review all of the appeals that come in. There's quite a few appeals for various reasons, whether it may be that you left a designation for a beneficiary that you no longer have a relationship with, and you pass away and you didn't make a change to your beneficiaries, and now somebody else is challenging that. There's just all sorts of things that go in. How we manage the costs for the administration of the plan. It's a massive plan. Yeah, there's over 220,000 employees in the plan, and it's been a long day.
It has.
I'm here in town this week for the grievance panel, Western Supplement Grievance Panel in Garden Grove, where I went to high school. So that's why I'm down here from Oregon in Southern California this week. So thank you for having me. But it is a complicated machine. It keeps the trustees very busy, constantly reviewing every single aspect of what is going on in the plan.
So, I mean, that's great to hear that we have a say in that. Union officials that are there on the board, your elected officials out there, that are on the board, that make sure that it's not just the company running these pension programs.
It's a multi-employer. Correct. It's multi-employer, jointly administered. The decisions are jointly made, and it's not what the boss is serving you. If you work in a shop that's non-represented and you're in their company's 401k plan and they keep making changes every year that don't benefit workers. Even 401ks will have a vesting period, some of them, a vesting period for the employer portion of the contribution. So maybe you put in $1,000 a year into the 401k and your employer says they'll match $1,000 or they'll give you 10% of that. They'll give you an extra $100. You look in the fine print of the summary plan description of some of these employer-sponsored plans for non-represented employees, and it'll say you need to work there 5 years to get that employer contribution. So you'll get employers that try to say, well, we're just like the pension, or they'll have a variety of different things. There's nobody making that decision. They're making that decision themselves unilaterally. We're Teamsters. We're making decisions jointly with the employers for the benefit of the members. We have a voice.
That's awesome.
You have a voice. The Teamster rank and file out there have a voice.
Awesome.
That's a lot to soak in.
It is. I mean,
no, I just, that's a lot to soak in. I just kind of heard something and I wanted to run it by you, Mark, and maybe you could touch on it. But what does that mean for a member like myself? That's, even though I'm a business agent, but I'm in the Western Conference
Teamsters
pension fund.
Okay.
A guy myself, 50 years old, had a new baby. Okay. What does that mean for somebody like myself? This is what I heard, and maybe you can touch on it. Say, in a few years, obviously, something happens to me and I pass away. What does that mean for my loved one?
In general terms, depending on how long you've been in the plan, you may, at age 50, you said 50, you could actually already be eligible for your pension. So there's
I'm 2 years away.
So in general terms, you're eligible for your pension. You've had all these years in your pension. There's all of the details, and there's extensive details on spousal survivor benefits for the spouse, a spousal pension. when you go to retire, you're eligible. So I have my peer. I retire tomorrow. I want to retire February 1st. I already have my eligibility. And when I go to apply for my pension, there's going to be multiple options given to me.
Okay.
Am I going to keep the pension myself personally, where I'm going to get 100% of what my benefit statement says? Well, to do that, your spouse has to sign off that she's waiving her rights to the spousal benefit. Or am I taking 2/3 of my pension and giving with a not 2/3, I apologize, a reduction of 100% to say 2/3, so that when I pass away, that 2/3, that payment, whatever I elected, continues to go to my spouse. There's all types of options. It can be very complicated. I really highly encourage members to, especially as they get closer to retirement, go to your meetings, go to the pension
Make
office,
an appointment with
get
the
a history.
pension department.
But one of the things you mentioned, and I apologize, was the major announcement that came out on January 8th when we increased renewed the increase to the accrual rate to 1.6%, was an increase to the child survivor benefit.
That's where I was talking.
And this is separate from the pension, and it's a feature of the plan. So, child survivor benefit, there's a formula, and you could get up to $1,000 a month. Okay, and it was payable till age 18. So I'll just give you an example. About 10 years ago, I had a member working at a warehouse, been a Teamster for about 6 years. Pallet fell off the top rack, killed him. Hadn't been a Teamster, but he was a 6-year Teamster, had just started working to build up his pension, right? He was married and he had a child, 3-year-old. And based on his contribution rate in his contract, he was eligible for the $1,000 a month child survivor benefit. That had nothing to do with anything else. That child would receive, an eligible child would receive $1,000 a month till they were 18. Effective July 1st of 2024, one other additional improvement, a major improvement that the trustees made that starts July 1st of 2024, anybody who passes away after that period, after that time, the benefit formula, there's a formula to receive $1,000. Now there's also a formula which most Teamsters would qualify for, but again, you have to know what your pension rate is, verify it with a pension trust. But most Teamsters are seeing a double of the child survivor benefit to $2,000 a month for eligible children after July 1 of any death after July 1 of 2024.
That's
crazy. And that's for an eligible for an eligible child, right?
Correct. Yes.
And that's for one child. So if it was 2,000, they would split that up amongst maybe
it's
there's
$2,000.
Yeah. Okay. So
$2,000 is the max.
Okay.
And so it's a fantastic improvement, and it's another one of those things that a pension isn't required. The pension wasn't required by any federal law to go from $1,000 for most of these folks to $2,000. It wasn't required by law. This is something the trustees are taking action to improve and add additional features and additional benefits to the pension plan.
It's all Mark there.
Yeah.
Mark's fighting
that's
for our
awesome.
benefits.
You know,
That's
I remember when I went to the service for this young man, and I met his spouse, and everybody, introduced. We talked, and we always have a lot of our blue coats go to when one of our members passes away. We'll show up. A number of us will show up in our blue coats and pay honor to our members and who've passed. And a few months later, I get a call from her, and she says, "I just found out I'm eligible for this $1,000 a month. My eligible child is this $1,000 child survivor benefit. It didn't earn anywhere near that in his 6 years from his pension statement. So this benefit. It's just an unbelievable benefit to help folks. So when people want to talk about 401ks and all that, I'm not aware of a 401k that has an extra child survivor benefit.
Definitely not.
Yeah. I mean, so that's big news. That was part of the big news. And so thank you, Sabas, for bringing that up. Our members want to hear about that. And there's going to be notices going out. There's going to be literature. If you go to the Western Conference of Teamsters Pension Trust website and you pull that up, there is a notice on the front page of what we've talked about in terms of the accrual rate, in terms of the child survivor benefit to see where the break is between $1 or $1,000 a month versus $2,000 a month for child survivor benefit. And there's everything else that's on that website. And you can actually, there's the history of the accrual rates. So when you look at that, you're going to see
2009
long
through
periods of time where the
2019.
accrual rate was 1.2%. And that means a lot. So
That's huge. And honestly, I know we do have a lot of younger members. I mean, not that we don't have a lot of older members as well, but we do have a lot of younger members that, like you stated earlier about the healthcare, right? That might not look at the pension and might not really even know that it's there, know what an accrual rate is. It's great information, but you know, for those younger members, I really, really encourage you to pay attention, to read up on some of this stuff, to, you know, take the information that Mark's giving you, check out what your pension is, look at your statement, familiarize yourself with that. You know what your contribution is in general. You know, these benefits are stuff that members like Mark and, you know, hopefully myself one day will be, you know, have had the privilege of fighting for others. And, you know, we appreciate you. We see all the work that you're doing.
you know, it's a team effort, and when I say that, you know, we go bargain these contracts. We have our rank and file on our committees. We're pushing employers for additional contributions. And when we go to vote a contract, some of the members will say, "Wow, I know that you negotiated $1 an hour in wages each year, the contract of a 3-year contract, and you bargained 10 cents a year, and you also negotiated that any amount from the dollar on top of the 10 cents pension that can be diverted through like a diversion vote." Every contract's got different language on how that happens. Sometimes the committees do it, members ratify it. Sometimes it's a separate vote after. It's just a variety of ways the contracts are structured going way, way back. And sometimes somebody will say at the meeting, "Well, I don't want to vote for another 10 cents to go to the pension." Or they say, "You know, I know you bargained $1 for the wages for the 3-year contract each year, and you put 10 cents in the pension. I'd like that 10 cents to go on my wage. Can I do that?" And the senior employees that have been really monitoring the pension will get up and speak and explain what does it mean. Because, again, we're a democratic process. Members come in, freedom of speech. We're in there talking. And so we'll have some groups, and I've represented some groups where the high senior people, you go into a shop with 30 people and there's 25 that are very high senior and they just hadn't retired yet. And they go in and say, "Send 50% of the wage increase to the pension," because they're getting their statement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it compounds. I mean, it just keeps on this continuum. And so it's great to be able to do that. And, of course, the employer is paying in that contribution. You're working for it. Your labor is providing that benefit and that hourly contribution. It's your labor, because you gotta do whatever the contract says in terms of hours of compensation to get to the limits, right? You got to go to work.
Yep.
Vacation pay,
Gotta go to
your
work.
holiday pay.
Gotta work your
sick leave pay,
2080.
counting towards that.
Your UPSers out there,
That's
and I
the
know
general.
most of it.
Generally
gotta work your
speaking,
2080.
most contracts have that. There's various language with different hours of compensation, but generally speaking, when I just even look in my own local, I know in my own home local, 99% of them have the 2080 language in there. And some of the contracts, you can get there quicker by the hours of overtime you work and everything, but it caps at 2080. Some it has a monthly cap. So you have to be careful to monitor that.
Yeah.
But it's what's been negotiated and what's done. So I think, you know, it is the crown jewel, separate from representation. Because like I said, but the crown jewel of being a Teamster is a defined benefit pension plan that pays you a lifetime benefit when you retire. And then it has all these other features that you may not need.
Yeah,
You may not need it. You're going to put your 35 years in because you've got a contract that says that has peer 80, and it says when your age is this and you're this many years of contributory service that you're at 80 and you can retire. Yep. Then you're taking it, right? It's just such a fantastic thing. And you know, I can't help myself. And I'm not going to apologize about not doing that. You know why?
I like how you looked at Sawas.
I'm never going to apologize for one of my favorite things I like to say. When I go to many meetings and I talk to the members and I go around the Western region and when I'm doing my thing as a Teamster out there and working side by side with the rank and file members, helping lead them, educating them, I always say, when you go to a family barbecue and you have a contract that has an $8 pension rate or a $12 pension rate or a $4 pension rate, or you got a medical plan that maybe has a $100 deductible or it's got a $500 deductible. You don't have that $3,000 family deductible that somebody's coming to us to organize, right? You've got something that maybe that's what it is. I mean, it's all over the board. It's going to depend.
Yeah.
You,
Varies.
generally speaking, are going to be the only one at that barbecue that has a defined benefit pension plan if that's in your contract. And it's when you start talking to people like that, it kind of wakes them up. So, because, defined benefit plans, very small percentage of society in the United States is going to get a defined benefit pension. The employers have shifted the burden to the employee. And then with the, it's nice to get a contract. It's nice to get a matching if you can bargain that plus the pension, right? But it's going to do nothing like the pension's going to do for you. So it's been a little wordy. I apologize. But, man, I get so excited. And I'm at Local 952. I'm with George, shop steward, rank and file.
Rank and file.
He's here. He puts this together with you folks and organizes this. He puts in his day on the package car at UPS, and then he finds out. This is obviously your own regular podcast, and we talk about, hey, Mark Davison's coming by. What night works for Mark? Because some of the days of the panel were going really late.
Yeah,
just a thing. That's really cool. I got
to give it to George.
Thank you, George.
I got to give it to George.
We
don't give George enough credit on the show.
He makes the most money. I mean, he makes the most money out of us. So I don't know.
He's right.
Yeah.
Correct.
But to your point, I mean, we definitely have some benefits that are just amazing. Yep. And I'm glad that we could come on today to spotlight some of those. I mean, I think we pretty much accomplished what we wanted to get to as far as business. So let's have a little fun, Mark.
Oh, geez.
So I know there is one story that I know that I heard earlier, but I think our viewership wanted to know. So the hotel that the panel is being held at.
Well, we won't get into too many of the details, but that's where my prom was in 1987. And I didn't even know that our coordinator in our office who had booked that hotel for the panel a few years ago, or actually last January, I was here on the seat a year ago. Yeah. I show up to the hotel last year and I go, this is where my prom was. Nice.
And don't leave out what you were wearing, Mark.
You know what? I had to think about what I was wearing, and we were talking about what I was wearing, and I was actually wearing popcorn pants from the 1980s. And they were white and black dotted pants, almost like hen's tooth.
Oh, I remember those, yeah.
The popcorn pants is what I was wearing. That a red cummerbund, a white dress shirt, a red bow tie, and I was wearing black tails. And I walked around everywhere because the future is always bright when you wear shades. I was wearing black Ray-Ban Wayfarers throughout the entire prom. And in my official photos with my date, and we had a blast. But it's funny how this all comes back over time. I moved to Oregon back in 1992. My daughter had just been born the year before, and she had family in Oregon to be closer to her grandparents, and I was a youngster. And then, of course, you know the story. I got up there, was going back to college, Portland State, getting myself through college, and there was the table that said, part-time job, full-time benefits. Yep. And when I applied for the job, and this is a true story the way it was, and a lot of the younger people would never relate to this at UPS because just the turnover that they've experienced, right, with these jobs. I was applying for a job, and the coordinator there said, well, we have 2 openings. And right now I'm up to about 70 applicants. Wow. So I gave my basic spiel. I said, well, am I wasting my time filling out the application? And he said, no. I gave him, and he asked me some basic questions. I answered him. He's like, oh, wow, that's great. That was good. And then when I went there, most of the people at that time were college students. They'd go in there, put their 3.5 hours in.
Yeah.
Maybe do some Saturday air on the weekend, and they were going to school. And when I showed up for my first overtime, and I got to know everybody there, everybody I worked with was vested in the pension. There was only maybe 10% of the 5% maybe of the seniority list that might work there 6 months or a year and a half.
Not like now.
Yeah.
No, the turnover was significant. And so, yeah, interesting times. 1987.
I was 16 when Mark went to the prom. If you did it in June, or I don't know when the prom was. Was it?
Can't
in June?
remember.
I was.
Prom's
16.
usually like a month.
What were you doing
before.
in June when you were 16?
Laughing at guys like him in their pants.
In his cummerbund?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know what a cummerbund is.
Cummerbunds are an essential part of black tie etiquette, and they give formal suits a finished appeal. Cummerbunds are used to cover unsightly bunching that occurs when a shirt is tucked into trousers. They also provide an aesthetic benefit to your overall ensemble.
Oh, and I was wearing spats. So I had a black dress shoe with the white on top.
Oh,
That's
nice.
cool.
Yeah, and they were patented spats. And but the popcorn pants, I remember I went with my mom to the garment district in Los Angeles. When I don't know if that's still a thing in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
still there.
But back then, you would go to the garment district in Los Angeles in July, June, or usually like June after school got out, and you'd go down and you'd pick stuff you want because they would manufacture it and all that, and then you'd order what you wanted. They would take it and they'd put it on layaway. And then my mom
Layaway.
would
I
send,
remember layaway.
yeah, she'd, I can't even, I don't know how she paid the $20 a month or the $5 a week or the $10 a week, whatever it was.
They mailed it.
Yeah, they probably mailed it.
They
Yeah,
mailed it.
Yeah, a check.
Yeah.
yeah.
How
Well,
old
thank
were
you.
John, in 87?
In 87, I
Yeah.
was 3.
Wow,
You were 3 too.
3 years old.
there you are, the continuum.
I'll be 40 this year.
The continuum. Yeah.
Do you happen to know what the theme was for your prom?
Probably Miami Vice.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
So I have my,
Hawaii
my,
5-0?
my brother for a period of about 3 years. He's not with us anymore, but my brother wore the full white suit with the turquoise shirt, the button down.
Nice.
He had the no socks and the loafers like
Yep.
Don Johnson.
Dang.
He had the exact haircut, and he was very cool. He's the opposite of me. He was very quiet and reserved.
Quiet
And-
but cool.
But quiet, but cool.
Quiet
and I
but
have
cool.
pictures of him. Some of my favorite pictures of my brother are decked out in his Miami Vice.
That's
I
awesome.
imagine like James Lopez sitting on the couch.
That was the show, man.
Yeah.
Miami Vice. I remember.
My brother was Darren. His name's Darren, and he is a great brother, even though he's passed. And he was a DJ in Orange County, and became fairly known amongst people that would have a party and younger people.
DJ scene? That's,
Yeah,
man, he was
Big
super
deal.
cool.
yeah. His
Yep.
his handle. I don't know. Is they call it a handle?
Well, I mean,
What do they call it?
I call it
Was
handle.
DJ Bazaar.
DJ
you
Bizarre.
know,
DJ Bazaar, and he could break dance.
and those in
That's cool.
'87, if you were a DJ, you got all the chicks, man. I'm telling you. No, you did.
So I was so, no, seriously.
You know, I'm being serious. You
stole my girlfriend.
You were the. They were doing backyard parties then. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you were the DJ,
House
you were
party.
the focal point
Yep.
of that party, right? So you could be like, well, these 10 people are coming in, and all the girls went up to the DJ because they wanted to hear. I mean, you were the
Wanted to
man.
request
My brother was
music.
quiet. My brother was really quiet. He was
87,
shy.
you're a DJ,
very
you're the
shy.
man.
I don't think he was doing any of that. He was very shy. He was doing his music and having a good time. And it's interesting. We would go into Santa Ana. There was
It's our neck of the woods.
okay. So what we would do is there was a rental DJ rental company, or probably for all types of sound systems. Now, my brother had, of course, the Techniques turntables. He had all of that, scratch boards. He had everything he needed, and then he had his basic setup. But when they would do a party, and he needed help, I had a 65 Volkswagen bus. It was the olive. It was the not the olive. I apologize. It was the avocado green with the cream
okay.
with the cream
Yeah.
on top,
Yeah,
avocado
yeah.
green on the bottom,
Yeah.
and the cream bumper. We would go rent the speakers, and we'd get these massive powered speakers, massive powered speakers, big suckers. When I say massive, they're probably like 4 foot by 4 foot.
That's pretty big.
Big ass
Yeah, pretty big
speaker.
speakers. And
Massive.
Excuse
Big
me.
fucking speaker.
We would load those into the back of the, or we'd open the side doors and get those in, and yeah, that was some. That
Go
was some
rock
good
the
times,
house.
man. That was some good times. Got
That's
a lot of
cool, man.
nostalgia down here. So
That was one of the first cars I had.
Volkswagen bus.
I had a 16-piece window.
Oh,
bus.
what?
It was the
16
blue
window
and
bus?
white.
okay,
It was blue on the bottom, white on the
awesome.
top. 16-piece window. I didn't have the micro one with all the little windows on the top.
Yeah.
But it was still really cool. I mean, that was the first car I had.
The second car I owned, 64 Beetle.
Oh, that's nice.
I had a
All hooked up.
73.
I owned it for about 3 weeks, and then it got stolen.
Oh,
You stole it? Sucks.
yeah, the Volkswagen meets were big in Southern
Yeah,
California.
they were
Yeah.
huge.
They were over in Garden Grove. There was a big field because the strawberry fields that
Mm.
existed in Garden Grove. I don't know if there are any more strawberry
No,
fields, but
no.
back
It was really.
back then there was tons of strawberry fields over off Harbor
There's
Boulevard.
I know they have
Brookhurst.
a strawberry field on Brookhurst. No, Euclid. It's like just one. It's like one little strawberry field, and that's
It's left?
That's all it's left.
Right, some
Oh,
old
I think
family
there is
that
Euclid
refused to
and
sell.
in
It's by
Westminster?
Costco. By Costco out there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, there is that one too.
Yeah.
That's
you're
cool.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we would
That's
have the Volkswagen meets. The mistake I made is I thought, I'm going to paint it different. We're going to do a different color. So you could take, if the clutch went out, you could take the engine out in about 30 minutes, put the new clutch in. Yeah, and you could put the engine right back in. So my buddies and I started sanding it. And there's some rust and different things, but, it was a California car, so it wasn't too bad. And then we primered it. I had the cream on top, then it was primered on the bottom. And, we would drive that thing all the way down to the border. We'd go to San Diego.
Those things are so cool. Like
An official
I've
beach
never
boy.
officially driven one, but my buddy owned one, and it's so cool. Like, cause you're sitting on top of the wheels, so it like turns on a dime.
Yeah.
Like it's an interesting drive.
When I bought mine, it didn't even have an engine, and I took it home, and my aunt thought it was crazy. She said, "Why would you buy a car with no motor?"
Wow.
But
Yeah, poke a hole in
put
the
a
bottom of like
1835
Fred
in
Flintstone,
there.
Right.
that shit.
dual carb,
Oh, forget about it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go buy yourself a Michigan-made Ford F-150. There's no way you're going to be able to work on that thing now.
Yeah.
Maybe the oil changes, the air filters, some of the other types of things, but we would tinker with that thing. I mean, you'd have minor breaks about every 3 weeks of some sort. Something would break
yeah.
about every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it had that white, high polished white cream stick shift. It was tall.
Oh yeah.
And then it had the white cream dashboard, and then it had the big clock in the middle. And then in the very back of mine, I had taken out part of the back deck and part of the way it was set up and did the sound system. And that's when you could go to those car stereo places, and they'd be lying. I mean, they'd have 100 options for amps,
Yeah.
power amps. And I still have it to this day. It's in my office. It always reminds me of my brother every day. I have the box, this wood box that he made. It was the exact width of cassette tapes.
Oh, nice.
And we played Beastie Boys,
Yeah.
Grandmaster Flash. I mean, it was just I don't want to say more of an innocent, innocent. It was more of an innocent time.
It was.
Yeah,
I feel like it was.
We didn't have a cell phone to occupy our time. We had to hang out and talk. We had to sand the Volkswagen. We had to think about different things. We'd go down to the beach. We'd load that thing up with pallets. I didn't have
Bonfires
the
at the
surf
beach?
rack on top.
Bonfire?
Yeah, those were harder to come by. But and I've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen like one of the old microvans up in Oregon, but you always see them down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some.
They're-
Not as much as you used to. but
They're
there's
so
some.
expensive. That Volkswagen that I had that was about $3,500 when I sold it in 1988, which was a little bit of money then because they started to buy them. That Volkswagen, if that thing had been parked in my garage, I could sell that right now for $30,000
Yeah,
without doing a single thing to it.
Easily.
Fluffy has a whole warehouse full of them.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he collects them.
Right, that's where they're at. They're all probably in
They're all
warehouses
there.
now.
Yours is probably there too.
Put away.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mine is probably chopped up in Mexico somewhere.
I ended up later on having a '73 Volkswagen Beetle. That was that midnight blue color that was popular with those.
Mine was dark green,
Oh, okay.
dark forest green. But I it's funny because not funny. It's a horrible, sad story. But my dad had been building it since I was young. I mean, just he made one-piece windows, cut out the little, one-piece windows, bought new Prelude seats. He took from an old, probably a 90 Prelude.
They were probably stolen, John.
But yeah, they were, I said took, I didn't say buy.
The Prelude was that was a popular.
Put a Prelude,
Red,
he put Prelude seats in
drop,
there.
They would drop them. Yeah. The
And,
two-door was really popular. Was it a two-door Prelude?
Two-door.
It was
Yeah,
red?
yeah.
Oh,
Two-door
that
Prelude.
car was like, your parents had money if you had a Prelude in 1989
Preludes were
or 90.
they were in the in cars.
I wanted one bad.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. But last question, Mark. So we talked a little bit, and this is just something I kind of thought up, but we were talking last time you came on the show, we talked about music. You love music, right?
Correct.
So I'm kind of curious. All the music I've heard you talk about is older music.
Okay.
Is there anybody you like from now?
I'm going to grab my phone,
go ahead.
and I'm going to tell you what my current playlist is on
Let's hear it.
Spotify. Of course, Beastie Boys is always in the rotation, and all the 80s. I have my brothers, because, he untimely passed away. I have his vinyl records. And so I have an 80s collection, which I love. But I have Pearl Jam in my Spotify right now.
Pearl Jam.
I have Tears for Fears.
Nice.
It's 80s.
Yeah.
The Seal's greatest hits I'm listening to right now. And my wife last year, we went to Seal. Seal came through Portland, and I'm like, okay, I've heard his music. Let's go. He put on a fantastic, incredible
You told
show.
a kid now I'm going to go listen to Seal, they'd be like, what are you talking about?
Right. And I have also on my playlist here, I have the Dropkick Murphys.
Oh, I love Dropkick Murphys.
Dropkick Murphys. They're very pro-labor. Yeah. I have, Jack Selby, who passed away, my mentor, he passed away about 5 days ago. One of his all-time favorites was Janis Joplin. Oh, Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz?
I like Janis Joplin.
So that's on my playlist right now. And there's an interesting, and of course, I listen to this every day, Dave Matthews Band. I love Dave Matthews. I'll be seeing Dave Matthews here in about a month. It's fantastic. Well, I already said Lady Gaga, right? I love her, but Lady Gaga's great. Her pop music is her pop music, right? Mm-hmm. But I went to see her in a show for her jazz show that she used to do with Tony Bennett. And, of course, Tony Bennett passed away. And I went and seen her jazz show. Unbelievable. Really? The talent, yeah. No pop music there, jazz. Playing America's Songbook, they call it. Honestly. Cole Porter, you name it. She really rocked it. So that was pretty good. And again, you're going to probably say, well, some of the stuff I'm talking about is old. I like to listen. I've got also on my playlist right now where is it here? I know this is a funny one. You're going to probably say, what are you doing, Mark? What are you doing? And you can never judge a person by judge a person to know what the kind of music they're going to like. Yeah. I know a person, Teamster, and 90%, exactly, the Union Bean, 90% of what he listens to is all country. Old, all the new, goes to country music, and under his breath he'll tell you, Lady Gaga. I come back to Lady Gaga. And
do I know this guy?
I'm gonna keep his secret his. That's his secret. And so that's what I'm playing right now as I look through my selection here. Let me see one more. I'll find one more here.
A goodie in there.
A goodie. Well, during the holidays, I had Frank Sinatra's Ultimate Christmas.
Oh, that's great.
I'm kind of sentimental about that.
That's classic.
Christmas was always important to my brother and myself. Yeah. A lot of pictures of us getting up in the morning, and our eyes were like 4 in the morning, or not 4 in the morning, maybe like 5:30, getting our parents up. And we're like all excited with our bicycles that were under the Christmas tree, or the red, what would they call it? The green machine. I had one of those, the green machine where you'd sit down.
Oh, and
you'd go like this.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know it was called the green machine.
Like a big wheel, but it was
remember.
called the green machine. And instead of like a big wheel where the wheel is the front that you're doing, the wheel was the back. So when you went like this, the wheel just kind of followed the thing. So anyway, that's what I'm listening to a lot of good stuff. I have an eclectic taste in music, and they're really. I'm surprised you didn't say, well, what kind of music do you not like? I'm sure I would probably, I haven't given that a lot of thought, but I'm asking my own question now. So,
You know, I've noticed over the years for myself that my taste in music has
Changes.
evolved. It's
Right.
changed.
good.
Definitely music I didn't like before. I didn't really like country music. I like country music. There's definitely some good country singers. I like Luke Combs and
Oh, nice.
so just good stuff.
He
Right.
just Googled that right now.
Did it?
Right. You know, I used to go to, and I don't know, is Irvine Meadows Amphitheater still around?
It is gone.
It's gone now.
Oh, it's
yeah.
gone. So I saw
I've been there.
B-52s there. I saw The Cure there.
Oh, nice.
I saw Oingo Boingo.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The Devo.
Nice.
All there at the Irvine.
Yes. Oh, yeah. This is in the 80s. And then at Costa Mesa, do they still have an amphitheater there at the fairgrounds?
At the fairgrounds, yes.
I saw Madonna there with the Beastie Boys. The Beastie
Wow.
Boys were booed because their music
Well, that
was
was
just
polar
starting to hop,
opposites.
huh?
Well, yeah, because I'm sure
You go to a
majority
Madonna
yeah, it's
concert.
Madonna's concert.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they just exploded. That
Yeah.
was the number one. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, we would pump the Beastie Boys, and you ever see where you open up the back of your Volkswagen van, and you had the speakers pointing out because you go cruising, you'd cruise up down Chapman here and cruise up to the Orange Hill, and you'd have the back of the Volkswagen van up in the air. And
Let you guys drive around like that?
yeah, you would. Oh yeah. No, that was extremely common. Opening up the back, and it would be the trunk, or it would be that, and people would retrofit their chunks so it wouldn't pop up and down as they're driving. They would retrofit it so that they could have and the amp would be in the trunk, the speakers would be in the trunk, and then you park and you sit there and hang out with your friends and listen to the cool music. And we would
Shoot the shit.
You name the 80s music that we would listen to. I saw the Pet Shop Boys. That was the
Nice.
other one I was thinking about. They were fantastic. The Pet
Never
Shop
heard
Boys.
of them.
Seen Tears for Fears. They're fantastic.
I hear they're really good, yeah.
Oh, right now, even when they tour right now, I saw them last summer when they came through one of the amphitheaters locally in Portland, across the river in Washington, Southwest Washington. Now everybody was my age, so I'm 54. So it was from like age 54 to 64. That was the crowd.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable the quality of the music. No lip syncing, no messing around, none of that. It was everything was live, and it was just fantastic. And I took my daughter, and of course she just wants to hang out because we have a really good tight bond as father-daughter. So it's go out and have a good time, right? And she's like, oh, okay, I'll go with you. When it was all done, she's like, wow, they were really good. So they've kept it. You know how sometimes you see an old band and like, they're kind of losing the edge, the vocal cords, they were on the top of their game.
That's awesome.
Tears for Fears, look it on Spotify.
I'll check
I
it
love
out.
Tears for Fears, yeah.
Well, Mark, I
Thank
think
you.
we're here to wrap it up now, but we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate all your hard work. I know we've stroked your ego a lot here on the show, Mark.
Why'd you have to use that word?
You know, I actually kind of get, I don't want to say shy. What do they call that when you're kind of like, you're a little bit like,
You're humble.
I just, yeah.
You're just
sometimes
humble. But to us, you're one of the big dogs, okay? And we appreciate all the work that you put in for us, for our members, which, we all are, honestly. I mean, we all came from, Georgia's still on the truck,
Still there.
We all did the job, and we just appreciate your hard work. We appreciate you coming by, hanging out with us, letting the people get to check out your Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Telling us about the pension stuff.
No matter where you get in this organization, and Sean O'Brien, General President, Fred Zuckerman, our General Secretary Treasurer, they don't want you ever to get too big for your britches. Yeah. And that's the way my mentor was. Do the job. Do the best you can. Be honest. Be transparent. You won't win every battle, but you're not going to win them all, but you're going to win most of them if you put in the effort. And that's one of the first things Sean will say is, hey, you know what? We're not perfect. We're going to stub our toe here and there, and I stub my toe once in a while. Yeah. And it's okay. And I tell the members, hey, this happened. And it's never a fatal thing, like not a crazy fatal error, but it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah. But I said, but then what we did is we did it, and this is how we fixed it. We went and did this, and we did that, and this is how we're going forward as an organization. So thank you very much. I appreciate you. Appreciate all of you and for having me on the podcast.
And you'll have to let us know. I know we've been waiting for
get some sleep for the grievance panel tomorrow.
Made in Portland.
Made in Portland.
We've been waiting for the Made in Portland podcast.
You know, here's the thing. There's a couple of us that have everything set up for the Made Important podcast to a certain extent. After some of these, that's why I really have a lot of respect for you guys. You're putting in your full-time job all day long. And I've seen the work that you put into this. And so I've been talking to Bobby, who's kind of, we had filmed a couple of trial runs. It's a lot of extra time.
It's a lot of time behind the computer.
What's that?
It's a lot of time.
This guy does the editing stuff. That's the majority of the time.
I love it when he has the flow.
This is the easy part.
Yeah, I like it when you did the one where it says the flow, and then you had the Beastie Boy, a little Beastie Boy clip in there.
Of course.
Whatever the rule is, and you can only play for so long, or whatever the little sound was. I have no idea how that works, but so we haven't gone down that path completely.
Well, we're looking forward to it when you get to it. But again, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you guys. Thank you out there for tuning in. All the members, non-members, guys that are just interested in union stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys tuning in every week. Obviously, please like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. We're trying to be more active on there. So hold us accountable. Send us a message on Instagram or send us an email.
Send it to John.
Don't let other people.
Don't send it to Sawas. He's not going to be here.
Oh.
But
yeah, it seems like each time I come, Sawas has got, I don't know if I want to say he's kind of, he's getting roughed up by you, more and more by you guys. Do you get a lot of good feedback whenever you guys say something against Sawas?
Yeah, whenever we say fuck Sawas, the numbers shoot up. We're just like, I don't know what it is. But thank you again. Please follow us on Instagram, OCST.952. Email us.
OCST.000 Hit us up with all your questions, concerns, comments, complaints, everything.
All of it.
Everything.
We'll see you guys next week.
Go Teamsters.
There you go.
Teamsters.